This game just collected $500 million from crowdfunding. This is amazing, and we are going to talk about it in today's video. Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. It's the Eradicator, and Star Citizen did it! Chris Roberts and the team at Club Imperial Games collected a whopping $500 million in crowdfunding, consolidating it as the most crowdfunded video game in history and one of the most crowdfunded projects in the entire history of humankind. And this is just mind-blowing. So, what is behind this success? Why are people joining, and why does it seem like instead of losing some of its hype, it is actually gaining traction and attracting more and more gamers who might not have been interested in the title before? Well, we are going to talk about it right now. So, what makes Star Citizen an attractive project? Well, first and foremost, I believe that it is its vision itself, the idea of offering a limitless experience to players that allows players to literally do whatever they want in the game and go wherever they want. The possibility of seamlessly transition from a ship to an on-foot location, the possibility of flying from the hangar of an orbital station all the way down to the surface of a moon, a planet, or even a cloud city located in the depth of a gas giant. The ability to mix space, air, and ground combat, or resource collecting and commodity hauling. Star Citizen aims at being the game that does it all, the one and all package that so many players have been dreaming about for decades, that no other studio or game publisher had ever dared making or funding because it was simply deemed too difficult to make or even impossible. Well, we may be 10 years after the initial Kickstarter campaign, and sure, its development is taking a long time, too long, some may say, but the reality is that the developers at Club Imperial Games have already achieved so much, and judging by what is coming later this year and early next year, they've only gotten started, and that in itself is remarkably exciting and attractive. The other positive point Star Citizen benefits from right now, in my opinion, is that a lot of the negativity around the project seems to be vanishing as it is gradually being proven wrong. Sure, there will still be the diehards who will try to twist a narrative to choose to remain uninformed or misinformed, and maybe they will go as far as calling it a scam, but the reality is that you get to see more and more large content creators, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands or even millions of subscribers, who are starting to follow the project and talk about it, thus playing it and playing their role as influencers as they are influencing their audience, changing their opinions, which could have been driven by articles published by media outlets like Kotaku or Forbes. And for these people who may not have followed news about Star Citizen on a regular basis, Star Citizen has always been that game that overpromised and underdelivered, that game that's been in development for a decade and is nowhere near release, or an outrageous scam that sells you images of ships that they will never make. And sure, it is true that they sold ships in 2013 that are still not done, and of course, Star Citizen is still very far from being released in the version 1.0. The reality is that these large content creators have yet been able to show the game as it is, and it turned out that they had an amazing time for what it is, often commenting on how blown away they have been and how no one else has done what Star Citizen has achieved so far. And the more these large influencers discover and enjoy Star Citizen, the more the general audience will open up to Star Citizen and give it a try. Another myth that has been gradually debunked is the fact that in Star Citizen, if you want to have a chance at winning, you have to purchase a top-tier ship with real money. This was proven time and time again that it is actually not the case, and in fact, judging by the amount of zero to hero playthroughs you can find on the internet, it's actually quite the opposite. Star Citizen is far more enjoyable when you are starting with the most basic package that, by the way, you can acquire in the pinned comment, and if you see my referral code and use it, you can also earn 5,000 in-game credits, which will help you purchase some starting equipment as you progress in the game. And then, by the way, once you get that package, that starting package, you can then buy in-game the ships and vehicles that you can also purchase for real money on the online store. But the biggest strength with starting with a base package is that there is no such thing as, pay to win in Star Citizen, for the simple reason that there is no such thing as winning, as you as a player define what success shall be, and therefore what you may consider a win might not be a win for another player at all, and vice versa. On top of that, the price of a ship cannot reflect the direct outcome of a fight simply because in Star Citizen, skills prevail above all else. You may, for example, have an expensive fighter, but if you are poor at dogfighting, you may be gunned down by someone with a much simpler fighter. You may own the biggest trading vessels, but if you poorly optimize your time, and if you choose the wrong trade routes, then someone with a vessel half your size or even smaller could make more money per hour, as they would simply know the game better. Finally, I would finish by saying that Star Citizen as a game has become far more fleshed out than it has ever been, even at this current incomplete stage, and it's been adding, for example, more and more gameplay opportunities for players, and it's really been one of the recent objectives of the studio, as we've seen with the recent additions of various dynamic events over the last year, such as the Ninetales Lockdown, Jumpdown 2.0, and the Siege of Horizon more recently. These dynamic events are perfect opportunities for players to have fun pursuing a common goal and working together to achieve it, which, as an original backer of the project, has given us some of the most epic moments that I have ever experienced since the beginning of the alpha phase. There really is nothing like grouping with friends, staging an operation, and gathering a massive force to take control over an area and try to keep that control for as long as you can. The recently revamped combat missions also take a part in that, as you also have to group with friends and crew some of the game's larger ships if you want to be able to take on some of the game's largest vessel. And when you do, you get rewarded with massive explosions and tales of epic combat you'll be able to share with your friends or org mates. Now, of course, Star Citizen is not really a game right now. It is still the alpha version of a game and early access of a future title, and it has its issues. The servers still regularly crash, and it is still possible to lose the progress done through a gameplay session as a result of these crashes. There may be bugs that could prevent you from using a game feature. Some assets may fail to load, preventing any immediate progress, or you may be sent to jail because the game would have accidentally considered you a criminal. These are things that are still happening, and anyone joining the project should be aware of it. However, that is not the point of the Star Citizen experience. At this point, I believe that the most rewarding aspect of Star Citizen is just seeing how the game grows, how it becomes the vision that its founder Chris Roberts and the community have had for a decade now, how technology is so critical for the completion of the game are being made, fleshed out, and implemented into the live servers. There is nothing more exciting than finally getting our hands on the technology that we had been waiting for years, and a lot of these moments are about to happen, starting with persistent entity streaming this November and server meshing next year. If that has ever been a good time to join the project, it is definitely now. Last, another factor that can explain why Cloud Imperial Games have raised $500 million in 10 years is the dedication of its fans. If you look at closer at how much money was raised compared to how many accounts actually exist, you will see that on average, Star Citizen backers have spent $125 per account, which is huge. There are several reasons for that. The first one is that players are actually having a good time when they are playing the game, and they are confident that they will be playing it for a long time, and so they feel more comfortable investing in a more expensive ship that will allow them to give them different opportunities quickly in the game. But there are also players who are just happy with the act of giving money, or at least giving some of their disposable income to the studio in order to help financing the project. When I look at my audience, for example, I see that over 50% of my viewers, which of course do not represent the majority of the backers, but still a considerable sample, are age 35 or above. We are talking about established professionals or even retired people who are therefore well established in life and indeed can afford to spend a couple of $100s in a video game over the course of a decade. That is also something worth keeping in mind, and that is something that the marketing team at Cloud Imperial Games definitely have in mind as they regularly come up with attractive ship packages or new promotions to entice this audience to always spend more. Do they have to spend more? Absolutely not. Do they choose to? Yes. And why? That is because they enjoy their time and they want to contribute to see the game completed. So, there we have it, guys. The reasons why, in my eyes, Star Citizen gathered $500 million over the past 10 years. But let me know in the comment section down below. Are you a Star Citizen backer? When did you join, or are you planning to join? Or perhaps you are a critic of Star Citizen? Well, if you are, let us know as well why. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be in for a chance to win a Gladius Showdown edition. Also, if you join us on Discord, we have another giveaway there, and it is a Broad and Load pack with LTI that includes a Caterpillar, a Cutlass, and 2 mules, all of that with LTI, and all you have to do is to join our video sharing contest, or you can also be a YouTube member or a Patreon member. Guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and a big shout out to Geek Citizen, Eric Ohm, Zio Crusher, The DJ Dunn, Captain Snake, and Dr. Fobin. It's been the Eradicator, and I will see you guys later.